We just hit 40,000 subscribers. Well, 45 now, I think. And 8 million views in 1 week. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk a lot about the submarine and where we plan to take the channel. And yeah, so thank you, everybody. I will be getting to questions. I also want to answer questions that people have left in a lot of our videos, because we got over 6,000 comments this week and over 1,000 different name ideas for the submarine. So in this live stream, we're going to be doing a vote. I picked 5 of my favorite names that you guys left in the comments, and then you guys are going to be able to vote to name the submarine. So the internet's going to name the submarine, and we're going to call it that this summer when we're doing our dive videos. I've answered hundreds of questions for you guys in the comments, and I just couldn't get all of them. So this video, this live stream is going to be for that. So, all right, guys. I'll just check the comments real quick. True Help TV, dang, so in just a few days when I commented first on this stream, you've gained 15,000 subs. Yeah, it's insane. I subscribe to you, your submarine's fantastic. Thank you so much, Peter James Foote. True Doctor, what lake is that? This is actually one of the first questions from the comments from CREF-55457. Actually, no, that's a different one. But let me get to this one first. I'm not going to say what lake we're on, just for privacy. I don't want hundreds of people someday trying to come over and find the submarine and say hello. And yeah, I just don't want it to go that direction. But I will say we are based in upstate New York, and I do take it to a couple lakes in the upstate New York region. So first question from CHREF-55457. Wait, you can get your submarine registered. You actually can. So the way that I got the submarine registered is I own a custom boat manufacturing company. So we build custom boats, and we restore boats too. So we are Coast Guard registered. And because we're Coast Guard registered as a manufacturer, we're able to do that. And the submarine was built as a demonstration model, non-commercial, and it's the only sub I plan to build. Now going on to the next question, and I will get to comments. I'm going to let you guys place some comments, in the live chat, while I go through some of these top questions that were left in comments on our videos. And if you guys can support the channel, it would be amazing, because, we're still new and we just literally got monetized. So we haven't really made much. So if you guys can drop a super chat, I'll make sure to get to your questions first. So going on to the next one from Corster8221, maybe paint a flag. So this is on the North Korea story where that caller called the police and said she thought we were being attacked by North Korea, and I swear to God it was a true story. People have said paint a flag, make it more visible so we don't get ran over by boats, stuff like that. And I just want you guys to know, when this thing is diving, it does have a barrel, a big bright yellow barrel that says submarine underwater. And the flag is funny. I might actually paint the hatches in the American flag. I think that's a good idea, especially with some of the name ideas that you guys had. We'll get to that. So anyway, the next question, how long are you able to stay submerged? That is from Madmark UK1. So the submarine, the longest I've stayed inside of it is about 2 hours. But we've done the math, and we have enough CO2 scrubbing material and oxygen to stay in it for 24 hours. Not that I'd ever do that. And honestly, guys, being at a depth of max 60 feet. Now, that's the max depth. I pretty much take it usually around 20-25 feet. If I were to have a problem and I had to be in there for 24 hours, it's not like I'm going to be stranded. I mean, people know where I'm diving and where I'm going. And we have a great dive shop, and the owner I'm great friends with. He's a rescue diver. He's a tech diver. He could pretty much come out if there's a problem and surface the sub or help me if I needed to, because I prefer not to have to flood it. Now, the flooding the submarine, if there were to be a problem at the bottom, is pretty safe because of the depth. And the rate at which the water would flood in is slow. It would take like 2 minutes. So you're not going to get like any decompression or like pressure issues with rapid flooding of the sub, because it's going to take a couple minutes. And once that pressure equalizes, I have an onboard scuba tank, a pony bottle that I could use to open the hatch and swim out. So it's really not that big of a deal. But the problem is once that happens, well, now you got a sub stuck at the bottom of the lake and you need to resurface it, and it weighs 6,000 pounds. So it is definitely the last thing I'd ever want to do. I would wait a little bit and see if, you know, my guy from the dive shop comes down and helps me out. But never had a problem. Going on to the next one, from Truthfully7. What happens if a speedboat goes over you and you're not like enough? Does the mast show permanently? I kind of answered that one. Just talking, there is a identifier barrel that's tethered to the sub that follows along on the surface. From Base, what does it weigh? 6,000 pounds. It is pretty heavy for its size. There's about 800 gallons of volume of water that needs to be displaced. Next question from Gypsy King. Well, GYPZY King. Can I rent this from you? I need to bring stuff back from Colombia. I could not tell you how many times I've gotten drug cartel questions and comments and jokes in the chat. First of all, I'll never rent it. It's not commercial. No. I'll say a couple things. This would be terrible for the cartel. I doubt the cartel would have any interest in it. It's a lake sub. It goes like 3 miles an hour. It has a range of like 2 miles. You know, you're not moving anything with this. This is not for that. But it was a funny comment, so I figured I'd throw it in here. All right, let's just look at the comments real quick before I go back to it. Sub-name suggestions. I'm in upstate New York as well, centrally located. That's from the Dr. 85. What's up, man? Thank you for tuning in. Giving it a North Korean paint job would be hilarious. What's the craziest thing you've seen underwater? So the lakes, especially in New York, are pretty dirty. I mean, Lake George is pretty nice, but the clarity in that water, you can probably see 10, 20 feet in front of you on a good day. So it's not really, like I said, the sub's not really designed for like research or exploration. It's a fun toy. That's what it is. If you want to just cruise underwater and you pick a direction and you go for it, you can do that. This sub doesn't hover underwater. It has to be moving in order to maintain its depth. That's why it has the dive planes. But I also do a lot of scuba diving. I am a PADI scuba diver. And I scuba dive a lot in the areas that I like to take the sub to. I do take friends out. I've taken friends out in the sub. And a lot of times they just like to cruise a little bit and then just chill on the bottom and hang out and just be like, yeah, we're chilling in a submarine. So when I do that, I go to spots that I'm familiar with. So that way I don't have to worry about like any mud or any obstructions on the bottom. So I do scuba dive a lot as well. Peter James Foote, thank you so much. 199. Thank you guys for the super chat. Again, this live stream is not monetized. We are still a new channel, so anything you can do to help is awesome. If you have questions, I will answer them. Priority with super chat, of course, but I am going to try to read through everything here. Let's see, here we got Altamont Gaming. Would you restore an old Russian sub from the Soviet era given the chance, or would you refurbish an old 70s era boat and make it a disco boat? That's a good question. Well, I mean, if it's a Soviet era sub, that'd be pretty awesome. To have the opportunity to restore something like that. You know, you get into that area, though, it gets pretty damn sophisticated. And I don't know. My next project, I kind of do want to build a boat. I've been wanting to build like this big houseboat, like a 50-foot houseboat. And I feel like that'd be a fun project. Who knows? Maybe that'll end up on the channel someday. I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on that one. Also, Altamont Gaming, how many people can you fit in the sub? 2 people. True TV, definitely need to find a rock quarry to take it to for some killer Clearwater fun. I agree with you, man. That'd be pretty awesome. Why don't you put a larger leafy plant in your sub anyway? Not cannabis, of course. Lake George is beautiful, but Glimmer Glass Lake in Cooperstown is super clear. I'll have to look into that. Okay. So, let me get on to the next questions from comments here. Did you only take it out one time? I always see you're using the same videos to demonstrate it in use. This was a really good question, and that's why I put it in here. Because a lot of my shorts is using the same content. And unfortunately, the reason for that is I only started YouTube a few months ago. And I only filmed the first dive trial because that was a big deal. When I was diving myself and the other dives and with my friends, it was just kind of like, hey, man, you know, you're coming to the lake. I got the submarine on the dock. You want to take it out? And I honestly didn't film it. I wasn't even planning on doing a YouTube. I threw up one video and then it just started getting more and more views. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try YouTube. So yeah, that's why I don't have much more footage. And that's why I'm going to be posting a lot of footage this summer. We're going to do a lot of dive videos this summer. If I could do 5, 10, 15 different dive videos covering different subjects and doing different things, we're going to do it. So it's going to be really fun this summer, and I'm really looking forward to it. I see Jimmy asks, why 2 conning towers? I actually think, yeah, we already have a question in here asking that one. So there's 2 conning towers because it gives a lot more room for the passenger. If you had 1 conning tower, it's really hard for you both to be sitting up inside that conning tower. One person would kind of have to be sitting down on their knees looking out through a viewport below. That's why I did 2 conning towers. And a lot of subs, like the Kedridge K250s or K350s, those are like your mainstream personal subs. You could Google Kedridge K250, K350. There's a lot of them out there, and you can buy plans and copy them to build your own submarine. And it is a proven design, and they go like 600 feet underwater. So if you're serious and you really want to actually build a sub that explores and not just like a toy like mine, now, I built mine because I just wanted to design it myself. I wanted something different. It looks cool. It looks like a miniature U-boat, kind of. It just has that look to it, and I love it, and it's more of a fun toy. But, yeah, so the reason it has 2 conning towers is for more space. Now, that does displace more water. It makes it much heavier than a Kedridge submarine. And it was also a lot more expensive because you're doing 2 hatches. You're doing more viewports. And there's just way much more to do when you do that. All right. This is a really good question. This is a question from an engineer. At Renderverance, RENDEVERANCE. Insane project. As an engineer, can you explain the use of square as opposed to round port glass? One would think that would be a weak point. So, PVHO standards call for round viewports. You look at a submarine, they always have round viewports. Minus maybe a small handful of ambient submarines, or ambient submersibles, because they don't really experience pressure. Anyway, PVHO stands for the safety standard for pressure vessels for human occupancy. So it's correct to assume that the corners would be a weak point. But because of the sub's design depth, it's so low compared to traditional submersibles like the Kedridge submersibles, which go 600 feet underwater. I mean, 600 feet. There's a pretty big pressure difference between that and 60 feet. I opted for the Square Viewports for the increased visibility, between all my control panels, because I got a control panel in between the two viewports, and then I got one on each side. And just for a different look. Aesthetically, it looks much more pleasing to me to have square ones, and I really wanted to be able to get away with it because it's a shallow diving sub. So I did consult engineering firms on this. One of them was Hydrospace Group, and they're an engineering firm that does submersibles and stuff like that. And then from their calculations, one of their quote that I took from them in our conversation is, I put 13-inch diameter, which is the unsupported diameter. The result is a minimum thickness of 0.902 inches for 35 psi, which has a 4 times safety factor. So that'd be 140 psi or 323 feet. This result is fairly consistent with our original calculation for determining the PVHO minimum thickness, taking into account the changing slope on the PVHO graph. I would say these calculations would help me feel safe about going to 85 feet with your 1-inch viewports. And we're not going to 85 feet. We're only going to a max of 60 feet. And again, that's with a 4 times safety factor. So the viewports are actually stronger than the hull of the sub. But to answer the question, the viewports fall under an experimental category. It's not a commercial sub, and it can't be used for those purposes. But the depths it's going to experience with the low pressure will be with low pressure and with low fatigue. So hopefully that helps a little bit explaining the Square Viewports and why it went that way. All right, let's see what we got with some questions here. 18-year welder fabricator, if you ever need some help. Dr. 85. Thanks, man. What size and type battery bank do you use? So the sub takes 3 batteries. They are sealed AGM batteries. All right, can you look to see if I suggested a name in one of your vids? I was the one where you were infant of your sub being teased with Titan names. Oh my God, yeah. The amount of Titan names, Titan jokes. So many people said Titan too, and I'm going to tell you right now, that did not make my list of 5. Because we're not calling it the Titan 2. I mean, a lot of people think it's funny, but it's not the Titan 2. All right. Good evening, Devil's Advocate. What's up, man? Dean Myers, M-I-R-E-S. How much approximately did it cost to build? So it cost $28,000 in parts, and I built it 99% of it by myself. So I didn't really have a labor cost in there. Now, if you were going to hire someone to do something like this for you, I mean, you're talking easily $100,000 in labor minimum. I mean, it took me over 4,000 hours to build it, but it was $28,000 in parts. All right. Next question. From INARISARP. In a SARP. I don't even know how to pronounce this stuff. That's why I'm just spelling it out. The real question here is, did he try it? We need answers. He's referring to the police officer in the police boat that pulled me over. So he did not jump in the sub, but he did come over a week later. And we hung out for a few minutes, actually. And he took a tour inside the sub and checked it out. I explained to him how it worked. He thought it was super cool. And then he radioed over to his guys at the police department. And most of the police department ended up coming over, multiple of them at once. And all took a tour of it. And we all just talked. And they thought it was super cool. So I ended up becoming good friends with the police department on the lake. And every time we take the sub out, they wave and I say hello. And they know that if somebody else calls about the sub, that it's me, and we're not being invaded by North Korea. Not that they believe that. The cops didn't think that. They just, when they get a call, they have to respond to it. It's just policy. But they knew it was bullshit, I think. So, it's just funny. That Seagate name threw me off in that video. How far can it travel on a full battery? So I've ran it for about 2 miles, and it was starting to get low. It could probably go a little bit more, but about 2 miles would be a safe bet. What made you decide to tackle a sub versus, say, ultralight airplane? So for those that don't know, the channel is Planes, Boats, and Submarines for a reason. I am also a pilot, and I only have one video on here, and it's one of the earliest videos that I posted on the channel flying. It's with my friend Chris. It was his first time flying at the time, so his reaction's kind of funny, but the video kind of sucks. I mean, it was one of my first videos. So I do plan on doing a lot more aviation videos. I am a part owner in a Cessna 172, so I do plan on doing a lot of videos with the Cessna, and I don't know how many of you guys are into aviation as well, but I could answer a lot of questions about aviation when it comes to how to fly, pilot's license, what to do, how to get it, what's it like having a plane, is it worth it, and I was thinking about doing a bunch of videos on that as well. But to answer your question, why I didn't do an ultralight airplane is because I already have a plane. I don't know, it just... So much is going on in my life right now where I don't even have much time to fly. And I wanted to do something different. I've been flying for 6 years now. And, yeah. So anyway, let's get on to the next question. This is reactions. This is more going to be reactions to just random comments at this point. True Help TV, I paraglide. That sounds pretty awesome. I don't know if you post stuff on YouTube or anything, but that'd be cool. I'd like to watch that. How far into the lake does it go? The lake's 4 miles long, maybe a little bit longer. So I can go about halfway. If I do want to go to the other side of the lake to explore, I'll just pull the sub with one of my boats. Get it over there and then just do it. It's quicker too, because you know, if you're going 3 miles an hour, it takes a while. I can pull a lot quicker with the boat. Devil's advocate, jack of all trades. Thanks, man. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff, and that's something I'm going to talk about when we get through some of these questions here. All right, so we got from Gabek6987. Ah, yes, North Korea is attacking with personal submarines in your local lake. I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know why this person would say that. People just aren't too bright these days. I mean, you guys all know. You look at the internet, you look at people out there. There's just so many people that just don't know what they're doing. And it's sad. But it made for a funny story. So, Mal3X, would you be interested in a job opportunity? No. That's a cartel joke. Nope, I would never do anything for that. I'm actually loving YouTube, and I actually finally got some energy to really give YouTube full time. So that's what we're going to be doing. Oh, my monitor just turned off. Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to turn this back on. All right. Next question from Kudanart, or Kudanrt, Kudanrt. He said, cruising down the road in my 6'4". So if y'all seen the short, and a lot of people you came here from that, I started that with cruising down the lake with my submarine. So like thousands of people, not thousands of people, I'd say a couple hundred people, and like a couple thousand likes on cruising down the lake in my 6'4". There's been so many comments about that from Easy E, from Boys in the Hood, and a couple people asked for like a parody of it. Well, we did it. It's already done. The problem is we want to make sure that we're going to do right with the licensing on that, because we changed the lyrics and it still sounds like Easy E. Yeah, it's pretty awesome, guys. So we are going to do a parody on the water this summer, probably cruising down the lake in my submarine to that track. Okay. Next question from Louise Bernstein 2195. Please don't be the new Peter Madsen. Sincerely, the population of Denmark. Yeah, guys, I heard about that in international news a couple years ago. That guy's a psycho. And for those who don't know about what Peter Madsen is, he built an ocean submarine with a team of people. And this team of people that worked with him had no idea that he was this type of person. So imagine working with this guy. You're building a submarine. You got this big team that you work with. And then you find out that he took a reporter out on a submarine and cut her up into pieces. True story. So if you don't know about that, look up Peter Madsen. The guy's a messed up dude. From Chevy B0195, this submarine looks better than Ocean Gate, the one that imploded. You know, with all the Ocean Gate jokes, and I guess the reason I don't like the idea of calling it Titan 2 or anything about Ocean Gate, I get it's funny, but I had a couple friends that knew people on board. So I didn't know the people on board, so it's not like, you know, I'm personally affected by it, but I have, you know, I pray for those families. And those people did not know. I mean, when they were designing that sub, they were taking it to extreme pressures, the deepest parts of the ocean, 13,000 feet underwater. The pressure at that depth is just so great, you can't screw up. I mean, you're talking microns, I mean, tolerance, the levels of detail on something that's got to handle that pressure. And building the hull out of carbon fiber was not a PVHO standard. We were talking about PVHO standards at the beginning, and I totally support those standards when it comes to submarines, especially if you're taking it to a depth of 13,000 feet. It's a little different with a little submarine like this because you're going to scuba diving depths. And there's just, it's easy for me to get out and swim out. When you're 13,000 feet underwater, you can't flood the hull and swim to the surface, even with a scuba tank. The pressure is just so great, you're just not going to handle that pressure. You couldn't even flood it. There's just no way. You'd open that flood valve, that water would rush in at such a velocity, it'd probably pierce a hole like a water jet through the other side. So it's just, yeah, with submarines like that, submersibles, you just don't have that flexibility. All right, let's look at the comments real quick. Well, I gotta scroll up a little bit. When did you start YouTube, and where did you get your ideas from? Well, I started YouTube this fall, just a few months ago. Well, I guess technically I started it a year ago. But I only posted like 1 or 2 videos and just never went back to YouTube, looked at it until this fall. That's when I actually started trying. Where do I get my ideas from? Like, I'm guessing you're referring to building the submarine. I got that from I actually got that from watching a Discovery Channel skit on Andy Seymour, a submarine called the Kraken, homemade sub, and I became friends with him, and I just got inspired to build a sub. I'm like, screw it, man. There's like 10 people in this country that built a submarine at this point, maybe 15, I don't know, but there's not a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta do that. I want to be able to say that I can build a submarine. So that's literally how it started. So that's why I don't even have a lot of footage building it. It was just a personal project. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and that's how I started building it. How deep is the lake? Is it possible it could go below a safe depth? Okay, so like I said, the submarine's rated for 60 feet. Now that is a 1-2 safety margin. So its estimated crush depth is actually a little above 120 feet. So yes, I could go deeper than 60 feet, but I'm not going to because the chance of it crushing is going to increase. I don't think it would. I think it would push 90 feet, but I just don't want to do it. There's just no point. I mean, I'm not going down there to explore. I'm just going underwater to chill and have fun. So I don't need to go that deep to achieve that goal. And, you know, when you're cruising down the lake and you dive it and people watch that, they love it. So it's such an experience just taking it out and doing that. I never really chased like the deep diving. I don't know. Maybe I will. I know a couple friends that have subs that can go like 600 feet under the water. And I got one friend who his sub goes 3,000 feet underwater. He takes that one is rated. He does take that out on commercial tours. All right, so yeah, okay. Ew, what? Yeah, you guys are hearing about Peter Madsen. You guys who don't know, look that up. It is a sickening, crazy-ass story. Confined spaces lead to crazy things sometimes. Now, I just think the guy was a nut. The guy was crazy. I mean, they found all sorts of stuff on his laptop. I mean, he, like, fantasized about this stuff for a while. And there's a documentary on him on Netflix, I think. Look up Peter Madsen documentary. There is a documentary. It is on a streaming service, and it follows the people that worked around him. And if you just watch it and some of those clips, there's subtle hints in there, and it's super eerie. So yeah, I recommend watching that if you just want a crazy crime story. So yeah, Ocean Gate. How could such a smart guy be so dumb? I agreed. And they needed to make money. I think they were in a position where they're just losing money, or breaking even or something. And they're like, yeah, we got a trip here. We got these billionaires that want to pay. Let's take him down. I mean, I just think the guy was a little cocky. I mean, he talked about wanting to break new trends or something, do different things, do things new. That's why he talked about the carbon fiber hull as being like revolutionary and innovative, because nobody's done it. And while these people are telling him it's unsafe, he's just like, well, we got to break these boundaries. I mean, okay, but I don't know. We've been doing submarines for a long time, very long time, just like we've been flying airplanes. And the things that we do that we know that work very well. And I know there are submarines that can be built that can go deeper than the Titanic that are not made out of carbon fiber. Like the Challenger Deep or whatever. I mean, like, there's ways to do it. They were just cutting costs, and that's it. I mean, that's what happens. Someone above asked how you go up. Just stop moving. Okay, so no, it's trimmed for neutral buoyancy, so I can go up and down by just pushing the joystick up and down while I'm going forward. And the dive planes, if they pitch up, that'll bring it up. And if I want to level back out at whatever depth, I can do that. But if say I'm sitting on the bottom and I'm not moving, all I have to do is just very small amount of air in the ballast tank. Very small amount, and it'll slowly come up. Now, you don't want to add too much air to the ballast tank because air expands as you go up higher. Like if you were to take a cup and you tip it upside down, and you put it in a swimming pool and you swim to the bottom with it, you'll notice that the air volume is much smaller. And as you come up back towards the surface again, the air volume expands. So with that expanding air volume, you're going to ascend quicker and quicker and quicker and pop out at the top of the water like a bottle cap or cork or whatever. So you don't want to add too much air to the ballast tanks. But if I am sitting still and I want to resurface, I can just small amount of air and it does that. All right. Guys, if you can, if you want to support, super chats will be awesome. Thank you very much. How do you seal and attach the viewports? So the viewports, I got my miniature here, which my cats destroyed. They stepped on it. They broke off the rails and the other dive plane already, so I got to repair it. I got to get this thing up on a shelf. It's been sitting on the floor. But anyway, viewports. These are smaller on the scale model than the full-size sub. But this is, by the way, if you haven't watched the video, this is what I used to actually design the sub and make sure that it worked. It didn't look like this. I made a YouTube video out of this on how to build a scale model submarine. So if like you want to have fun and make your own model and have fun with that and be like, okay, yeah, well, I know this works, so I can build the real thing. There's a video on that on my channel. But anyway, getting the viewports. The acrylic viewports are mounted on a rubber gasket sealed with silicone, and they're clamped on that gasket with a steel bracket on the outside. And there's, I don't know, 16 bolts or something like that, evenly throughout the viewport, so it's clamped to the hull that way. Alright. Jimmy says, was asking about depth for safety, possible malfunction. Sorry, Jimmy. I'll answer that in a comment later. I've kind of lost track on that one. Sub name suggestion: Ronald McDonald the sub. Oh man, there's been thousands of ideas. Some hilarious, and that they're hilarious, but I'm not gonna seriously call the sub that. So that's why they didn't make the cut. So many of you guys wanted Subby McSubface from Bodie McBoatface. If you look that up, that's a real thing. It's a autonomous submersible vehicle. People wanted Subby McSubface, which is funny, but I'm not going to do it because there's just much better name ideas. So I did pick the top 5 from you guys. One of them is Red October, and there's a couple others too that you'll like. But let's see here. Do you have to worry about condensation in the blow lines icing? No, I do run antifreeze through everything before every winter. How many times have you played with the model in the bathtub? Well, that is actually where I tested it for the first time. I didn't have it was cold out, so I didn't want to like go out and get a swimming pool. So I literally threw it in the bathtub. It worked great. Only like twice was all I needed to get the data to figure out, how to trim it out and how much weight I needed and how stable it was, all that stuff. Have you put your cats in the sub? No, I did not. I actually thought about bringing them in the airplane, and my girlfriend was like, they would hate that. I'm not bringing a cat in an airplane. If I were to do that, I would probably get so many terrible comments. Oh, it's terrible. But I love my cats. I might have missed it, but does the hatch seal metal on metal? No, there's a rubber O-ring. There's an actual O-ring seal. So when you close it and you clamp it down, that O-ring seal tightens right up. What do you use for communication? Does cell service work with that? Radio. And no, cell service does not work in that. Even on land. If I get inside the sub on land and close the hatch, 0 bars. You could call it C Lab 2024. All right, so what else we got here? What's coming next to the channel? I would love your guys' feedback on this. I want your input on it because we have a few months to go, a couple months to go before the lake thaws out and we can start doing the submarine content. So the first thing that I'm dropping right now that we're working on is off-grid power. I feel like that's cool. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of interest in that. I'm not talking generators or solar power or stuff like that. I'm talking hydropower. Now, there's a small amount of people that are going to have a stream or a creek or anything with flowing water on their property. But if you do, a water wheel is perfect. And we're doing a video on it. It's a big water wheel. It's 8 feet diameter. You got to make it big if you want to make good power out of it. So we're doing a build on that. And we're also doing a mini movie. My girlfriend and I and my friend Adam are doing a mini movie. Basically an apocalyptic world where there's an EMP from like a solar flare. Whatever you have it. Mass power outage, no cell phone, no communications, no nothing. A lot of stuff doesn't work. So we're doing a really cool little video series inside the water wheel build video just to make it more entertaining and fun. And man, guys, I got so many things planned out other than the submarine too. Where obviously the submarine's like the big draw. Like we're gonna do a lot of sub content, but I want to do crazy projects. I think you guys love crazy projects. That's our audience. So we're gonna do like a hovercraft too. I want to do like a real deal hovercraft that can go from land to water and just keep going. So that's another project I think we're gonna do. My project that I really want to do is a bomb shelter, just for fun. And I got some ideas. I got some really good ideas. If you guys think that stuff would be fun, stay tuned because it's going to be coming. We'll probably do that in the next year or two. But all right, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the submarine names? Because at the end of this stream, I'm going to post the poll. So make sure you go after the end of the stream and vote at our community page for the submarine. Now, we're going to be calling this after 1 week. We'll be calling the chosen name for the submarine. So what we have here is Lake Defender. I like Lake Defender. It's kind of badass. The Red October. We would paint the hatches red. Just the top. Hatches red. Iron Lung. Poseidon's Curse, or Poseidon's Chariot. And last but not least, U-Boat, spelt Y-O-U, because it's from you guys at YouTube. Haha. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it. That's coming up right at the end of the stream. Once I wrap this up, any last questions, throw them in there, and we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to post that on there, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. It is the first live stream. I wasn't expecting a ton of viewers, but, you know, that's okay. I had a blast, and I got to answer